Smoke.
Boy, Trey, forever, baby.
Brian H. Director 70 times 7.
Man, it's your boy, Artist.
The girl Tasia name. Young Laura. Leah. Her name is Sam.
It's Young Spook, one half of Back in Business Podcast.
Aaron, the Gap 2 Diva.
Big stuff.
Are you Milan? Here, Milan.
It's your girl, Flaming Gina.
This Auntie Pig.
Or Lou.
Ebony, aka Ebony with an I. I'm from the Big Head Radio Show, and I'm
With the King Teeth Network, huh?
All right, camera set.
Both speeding.
and we're back. This is the King TV Network. Sweezy,
Yes, sir.
how you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Scotty Too Hotty, good catch. We are here live, right? And it's not live, but it's live for me because I got Andrew Newsome. And I didn't ask you this before. Do you have any relation to G News?
I don't. I wish.
That would be so
It would
cool.
be dope. It would be dope.
But
Yeah.
y'all both getting to the money anyway.
Facts. So,
So I
maybe
love
back
it.
somewhere, but yeah, not that I know. I wish. I wish though, for sure.
Well, Andrew, man, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Please introduce yourself to the royal family for those who don't know that need to know.
Absolutely. My name is Andrew Newsome. I'm an investor here in Cleveland. I work for a firm that invests in businesses across the Midwest, focused on small business investment. I'm also a president of the Political Action Committee based out of Northeast Ohio, so we advocate for issues that affect the Black community here. Originally from Seattle, been in the Cleveland area about 4.5 years now, loving it every day.
Man, that's amazing. And I don't know, y'all gotta slow it down because he talked quick. But what he does is he takes the money and the people who make the decisions and he influences both of them. And he helps them grow in positive ways. That's what I take from what you do.
Yeah, I mean, so to me, like when I was younger, right, I wanted to be able to make an impact in the community, and that's how you do that through both money and wealth, right? And so understanding how both work was really important to me. So understanding how politics work, who influences who makes what decision was really important. But I'm also like, it's hard to make change without resources. And so for me, I was like, okay, I need to figure out how this money works. Like, how does money flow? Who's the decision maker? How do you actually create more of it? And that way you can take that and put it back into the stuff that you want to do. So you have to have both, right? To actually create change, you need to have people who understand both the money and the power.
Understand, he is 28. Yeah, we getting somewhere, people. I'm not gonna lie to you because I love this conversation already. But what people can take from this and will take from this is people 60 that don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? And how to create true change. But let's go to college, right? So you went to college in Nashville?
Yeah.
Why Nashville?
I got a pretty sweet scholarship offer. That was good.
So you was really good in school in high school.
Yeah, I knew I wanted to get out of Seattle. Like I
Alright.
loved Seattle, West Coast. There wasn't a ton of Black people, so that was one thing. I need a little bit more energy.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to do something different. I'd known the West Coast well. My mom's family was from LA, so I spent a lot of my time in LA as well. But I wanted to see something different, and so I applied all over the country. Found a great school called Vanderbilt in Nashville. They had a bunch of us kind of come out for like a accepted student weekend for people who got in. They had like John Legend come perform for us and kind of pulled out the stops. So I was like, yep, like
This is it.
this is where I want to be. So I didn't know what to think about Nashville. I hadn't spent much time in the South before going there, but I loved it. Like I loved Nashville, the people I met there. That's really where I first kind of got that spark for the actual job I'm doing now, which is called private equity. I didn't know what that was. Like I didn't know anyone who had done that before growing up. And then people were there, people's parents were like flying them to school on a PJ, and I was like, what do they do? And they said private equity. I was like, okay, I need to figure out what that is and get to it. So yeah, that was when I first got that real spark for the job I'm doing now.
So you learned about it when you got there. So what was your original degree gonna be in?
So I knew I wanted to do business. I just didn't know what form that would take. So when I was in high school, I had a clothing company that I enjoyed doing. I actually had a friend who was from China. He met some street artists in China, and then we brought that stuff to like Seattle. We're selling it in some of the stores in Seattle. So I had like a business mind, but I didn't know what form that would take. So I knew it was going to be a business major, but it wasn't until I actually got to meet people that I was like, okay, I want to be an investor. I want to figure out actually how to deploy money into businesses to help them grow and spark.
I love it. So investing into a company, you said earlier that you're looking for a hungry young company that wants to grow.
Yeah, it's really the person too. Like, there's so many businesses out there that have been trucking along for 20, 30, 40 years that if you have the person who has that hunger to make it grow, you can do that, right? Especially in Northeast Ohio, there's so many like distribution companies or manufacturing that like the next generation can come in, help take it to the next level. But it starts with that person. You got to find someone who really has a desire to want it to see it grow. And if you have that person and can surround them with talent around them, then that's how you really scale it, right? It starts with the person. You can do all the data you want, you can have all the whatever money around it you want, but if you don't have that great leader, you can't really start. So that's what we look for first. Like usually we won't do a deal, even if it's a good company, if we don't feel like that person is ready to take it to the next level.
So how long in your journey, now we're still in college a little bit, in this journey did it take you to learn that it was the person, not the company?
It's like, yeah, I mean, a great question. I'd say probably in the last couple of years I've really learned that because you can see there's companies where I'm like, this seems like an okay company that's turned into like a 10x. You know, we bought it for 2, we sold it for 20, 30, 40. Oof. And I thought it was just an okay company. And there's other ones that, you know, I thought were great companies and we weren't able to do much with it. Wow. And the reason is that person, right? So to me, like I found out in the last 2 years, you got to invest in that person first. Wow. If you don't, you can't grow it, right? It's people first.
Yeah, every time.
Every time. Yeah.
So coming out of college, you were set to go to Chicago.
Correct.
What made you make that decision? Where did that offer come from? Yeah,
so when I first was leaving school, before I was going to do investing full time, I wanted to understand like how a business operates. So I worked at this company, it's called ZS Associates in Chicago, that works across a bunch of different companies on like sales and marketing problems. So like helping each company figure out how to sell more, how to use marketing to grow and scale. A lot of them are healthcare companies. And that way I got to learn like what makes a great business, what makes a great, you know, leader. And then I took that experience into my investing career. But yeah, in Chicago, I interviewed, they said, you know, we love you, we'd love to have you out here. It seemed like a really good fit. I'm big on like a job has to be a good fit. Like the bread's important. Obviously you want to get paid for what you do, but early in your career, like having good mentorship is really important. And I knew from that opportunity that they would give me good mentors. I'd learn a lot, and that way, whatever I was going to do next, I could use that as a springboard.
Okay, so mentorship in this industry, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I'm fortunate now to have people at my firm that do a really good job of taking me under their wing. Because I wouldn't say investing, they make it seem really complicated, but it's a lot of terminology, right? And it's like if you don't know the terms, you could feel uncomfortable because like I don't know what this means. Right. But once you actually dig into it, it's not that complicated. And so I have people who be like, hey, let me watch what I do, and then you'll kind of get that through osmosis. So I've had people really take me under their wing. The challenge when I started was there wasn't a lot of Black people or people who look like me in this space. Wow. So it was hard, especially in Cleveland. So it's hard to find people who look like me who had those same shared experiences. And that's what I'm trying to do now is like try to find other people who are coming up behind me who want to do this and kind of get them in the game. Because I've been fortunate to find them, but it's hard. So that's important to me is like how do we get this next generation of folks to get the game earlier?
So how do they what schools would you recommend for this path in this industry?
So a lot of different schools can help you get there. Obviously, like business majors are helpful across any school. But really, there's a lot of books you can learn to do this. So there's a book called Traction by a guy named Gino Wickman that teaches you how to really work and scale a business.
Is it orange?
It is orange, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
I've opened that cover.
It's a good book. I recommend it for sure.
I do have that book.
Yeah.
I need to read that one. Yeah, it's
called Traction by Gino Wickman. That's one of my favorite ones. There's also a book called Buy Then Build, which talks about really how any person can go out and try to buy a business. And that's the thing. Like people would ask me like, okay, I want to go out and buy a business, but I don't have $1 million. And you can do it with a lot less. If you have the right strategy, like there's plenty of money out there. There's hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars looking for these small companies.
Really?
There's tons of companies out there the hard part is that person. Like, who is going to be that person who can go run it day to day, who's going to spend their time trying to scale it? That's what we're trying to find. So, again, buy then build a good book and traction. That'll get you like halfway there. Just those 2 books.
So it'll get you to the point of understanding what you're getting into?
For sure. It'll teach you like how to actually find a business to buy, what to look for. And then that's the buy then build piece, and the traction piece will tell you like, okay, once I'm there, like how do I actually grow this thing? How do I think about processes and systems? And those will do a really good job of breaking it down, so it's not this kind of pie in the sky idea, but it's actually something that's tangible that we can focus on.
So can you take us through kind of an example of you finding a business, purchasing it, and kind of what that looks like, and then starting to scale it?
Yeah. So. We'll take like a distribution company, right? Let's say you're looking for distribution companies. I would say if you have experience working in something, whether it's healthcare or distribution or manufacturing, that's usually a good way to start because you'll have some kind of basis. But usually you can either go on a couple of sites. There's one called Buy, Biz, Sell, a couple other ones. I think one's called Micro Acquire. They'll just list people who want to sell their businesses, kind of like Zillow but for houses, but for businesses, right? So you can go through, look at a bunch of businesses, right? You got to find which one's going to work for you, which one's going to be a good setup for the opportunities that you're looking for.
I'm going to stop you right there. You lost the light, people? We're not going to stop. We're going to do that.
Keep it going.
We're going to get the light together. What happened to the light? Power cord. Probably grab one more of those extension cords. Is a black one right in there. All right, so scaling, buying, purchasing, all of those good things.
For sure.
Let's talk about it.
All right, so you want to start out, I would say if you have familiarity with the industry, start there. So if you have worked in healthcare or distribution, try to focus an area on something that you understand. That's a good place to start. There's a bunch of online sites that'll show you actually how to buy a business or businesses that are for sale. There's one called Buy, Biz, Sell. There's one called Micro Acquire. You can go there, similar to like you would like a Zillow or any kind of house website. It'll show you how much money the company made, how big the team is, and who to talk to if you want to buy it. Wow. That's step one. Is like, okay, how do I actually find the business? The second step, and I say this pretty early, is you want to line up your investors. So as I said, that like there's a lot of money out there, but you gotta want to have that early. So there's banks that'll help invest if you have a great deal. There's individuals and corporations that will invest if you can show them how this will make money. So you want to line up those people early on. They're out there. Again, if you have a great opportunity, if you type in private equity firms in whatever city you're in, you'll find opportunities and people will talk to you. Once that's done, you got to figure out if it's a good deal. So not every business is going to be a good deal. You usually want to invest in things that have the ability to grow and scale and that have been around a long time. If something's been around 50 years, they're doing something right. So maybe they're not growing, but like there's some reason customers keep coming back year after year, and you want to figure out what that is and why customers keep coming to them. And if you can get comfortable around that, the next step is figuring out, well, how do I grow this thing? So maybe they have done really well, but they don't have a website. There's companies that are printing money that don't have websites. They don't have
money, but don't
printing millions and millions of dollars.
But
No
don't
website.
have a website.
No website. They don't really understand how Google Ads work. They may not understand. They don't may have like a sales force around them. They may not understand the newest technology. And so if you can figure out, well, if I add these, 2-3 things, this can be a much bigger business. You want to figure out what those levers are of how you want to scale it, and put together that plan, saying, hey, this business is here, but I think if I do, put the marketing plan in place, put a website in place, hire a couple of people, I think this can be, 5 times bigger. You want to share that with investors. And
in
then,
like a year, like how many years, like when you're talking about that, how many years would you give yourself?
So I would say usually a 3 to 5 year plan is pretty good. It's hard to predict what things will be like in more than 5 years, and you want to be like at least 3 years of seeing things go up. And so if you can figure out, how to make the thing much bigger in 3 to 5 years, that's where you want to be in. I also would say having a lawyer is important as well, and a lot of lawyers will work with you kind of on contingent. So if the deal closes, you get to pay, but you don't have to pay if it doesn't close. So if you can find lawyers like that, that's a great fit. And they can help make sure that when you buy it, that you're have the whole legal system correctly, so you're not missing any paperwork, and 2, that you know what you're buying. Sometimes there may be things like maybe there's a lawsuit that wasn't disclosed on the company, or maybe they have a lien on the business that you didn't know about. if you have the right lawyer, they can make sure that you're not liable for that stuff post-deal.
Wow.
So having a good person around you that can help you do that is huge.
So is that something that the company that you work for provides, or do you have to go meet these people?
So for our company, we do have a lawyer for deals that we work on. But there's a ton of lawyers in Cleveland who do this kind of work. It's actually a thing that's coming out that'll be a kind of bigger thing to help more black businesses find lawyers that can help them grow and scale the businesses as well. But if you look at what they call it, mergers and acquisitions lawyers or M&A lawyers in Cleveland, you can kind of go find out the community. And some people may say, hey, you know, I need payment up front. If you can't do that, you can't work with me. But there will be some that will be like, hey, you know, I really see the vision. I think this is going to close. I want to work with you. So it's really about finding those connections and those pieces, those people.
Y'all better take this in. We have a lot of artists, and we love our artists, but God damn it, we get into some money today. And look, I love this because this is the next level. This is how you scale a conversation. You know, how you take the conversation to the next level.
For sure.
I don't think in the black community we talk about this stuff enough.
It's tough. Like one of my roles is to, again, bring more black people into this space. There's not a lot of us doing this right now.
So if they didn't go to college, or how do they get into this space? Is it still possible?
It is. It's a lot of, you know, hustle, just trying to meet people, understand who's doing it in this space. But I mean, we've had great people who didn't either go to the traditional colleges or had other alternatives, and they've figured out how to do it. I will say for the investing side, it does definitely help to have gone to college. But if you understand, there's books out there, I just mentioned a couple of them. There's tutorials on YouTube out there that'll teach you how to actually do a lot of the finance stuff. If you can just become an expert in that stuff and continue to network, you can find opportunities, particularly if you understand a problem really well. And that's why I say, like, if you understand healthcare well, or distribution, or whatever it may be, if you have a perspective on that and can share that, people will want to back you. So again, as an investor, we're looking at a bunch of different deals, but we may not be experts on each one, right? We need someone who's going to be in the day-to-day, who's going to be that expert. And so if you like, hey, I really know this space really well, I think that I can turn this company into double the size because A, B, and C that people aren't thinking about, that's really attractive to an investor. To make sure that you know your space really well and can articulate why that's important.
So you've found the company, you've purchased it, you've got your investors, now you have this company.
Yes.
Now what?
Yeah, that's where the fun began. Like,
Okay.
acquiring it is like, that's cool, that's a huge step, congratulations, but the real value comes from actually operating it day to day and being able to transform it. And I would say people try to make changes too early. Like when you come in, at least the first 3-6 months, you just want to learn. Usually the old owner will stick around for about 3 or 6 months, sometimes up to a year. And you really want to learn from them. You want to learn from the people there because they're going to know things that you may not, right? You're just coming to the business. Some of them might have been there for 10, 15 years. So you want to learn from your people. You want to learn the industry. You want to learn from your customers. Spend that time really getting to know everything. Because you may say, oh, this is dumb. Well, why are they doing it this way? And then you try to change it, and then you realize too late, okay, that's the reason. There was a reason why they were doing it this way. So taking the time to understand how everything works before making changes is step one. Once you feel like you have a good handle on the business, the first thing you want to do is also evaluate people. So are there things that people can be doing that they can grow into? So maybe they're doing one role here, but they're better suited in a different role in the company. Maybe you need more people to work to round out your team. Maybe you want to promote people into higher roles. So get to know your people, get to know what gaps you have in the team. And then after that's done, you want to really get your numbers in place. So obviously the biggest thing is, like, you don't want to run out of cash. So you want to make sure you have a good understanding of how money comes in, how money goes out, and hopefully that number's growing over time. So getting a good handle on like how cash comes in, how cash goes out, and what customers are the most profitable is really important first step. Because the first thing, before you even think about growing, you want to make sure your downside's protected. So you want to make sure it's not going to lose money.
Right.
And so figuring out what you need to do to make sure you don't lose money is step one. Once you feel pretty good at that plan, then you can figure out what changes do I need to make that are going to help it grow. And that can be a long list, so you want to focus on the things that are going to make the biggest impact. So maybe you could do 10 things, but the website's going to be the one that's going to drive sales the most. Focus your time there. Like, it's hard to do 10 things at the same time really well. focus on one or two and get those done, and then move on to the next one.
And that's how you just continue to scale it.
Exactly. Like, you don't have to hit a home run every single day. Just get a little bit better every single day. Double, single, those add up, right? Runs are runs. And so once you keep doing that, you look back 3-4 years from now, it's a very different company. It's much bigger. Right. You have more people around you. You've gotten a certain scale just by, knocking things off that list.
I love it. So you get done with college, and I'm gonna get back to, we have the company. I remember that part, but I want to go back to college and then going to Chicago. So get to Chicago. Yeah. What did Chicago teach you?
It taught me a lot. It taught me, I think, not to be afraid. Like, at first, I had this fancy job. All these people around me had gone to Harvard or these top business schools.
Shout out to my sister. She went to Harvard.
Turn up. Harvard, dope school. But I kind of felt like I didn't know if I belonged there at first. I'd been successful, but this was a different level. And then I got there and I realized everyone's just kind of figuring it out. Everyone's learning, everyone's growing. There is no right answer. When you're in school, it's okay, 1 + 1 = 2, right? When you're in business, there's things you can do, but who's to say what's the right or wrong answer, right? And so you have to be more comfortable with ambiguity and understanding that you may not have all the answers, and you have to make decisions just not knowing everything. So that taught me how to do that, right? How do you take the information that you have to make the best decisions? And I was able to use that in future roles, just understanding, because I was someone who grew up, I was I want to know everything. Give me all the data, I want to read all the books, right? I'm big on books, so I'm still big on books, but you can only do so much analysis. They call it analysis paralysis, where you just keep thinking and don't act. Yeah. What you have to do is take the information that you have and use that to make the best decision at the time. So you learn, and basically there's a pace to what you want to get done, and you have to be able to make sure that you can keep up with that pace and make decisions that way.
Okay, so now in Chicago, and we talked about this a little bit, in Chicago, but right before that, you find your wife.
I did. That was a game changer. I was not expecting that. Again, I was senior in college, didn't know exactly what I want to do next. Got this offer to go to Chicago in January. I was cool, I'm not gonna date anybody. I'm just gonna kind of coast, and then we'll see what happens when I get to Chicago. And I was on this cruise with a couple people from college, the Bahamas, and her aura was just different. And I was like, whoa, she's not even saying nothing. There's something about her that's just different. Yeah. And I was okay, I need to get to know her better. So when I got back to school, I was telling people I was talking to, nothing against you, but I'm just cutting everybody off. I'm just really trying to kind of focus on this one thing. And after when I got to school, she actually was in Cleveland right after school. I was in Chicago, so we had to figure out how to make the long distance thing work, which was it's tough. It's really tough to do that. But I knew fairly early on that she was the one, and so I had to kind of get myself ready to be a husband, which we'll talk about too. But I having a partner who kind of believes in you and that you can really just bounce things off of, and this feels like home. That was dope. I didn't know I was gonna get that so young, so I got very lucky to find her.
So you go, because you were in Chicago for 2 years.
Yep.
You go 2 years long distance.
Yep.
Chicago to Cleveland.
Yep. Hitting the mega bus, Amtrak, flight, whatever we could, driving sometimes too. So trying to figure out whatever way we could make it work. See each other a lot of the weekends, a lot of FaceTime, a lot of calls, after work. It's tough. Long distance is really tough, but we knew we were ultimately going to be together, and we wanted to make it work. And so while it was hard, when you see your life together, you figure out how to make the pieces fit together. And so we kind of got creative around date nights, where they'd be FaceTime, both cooking together, watching movies on FaceTime together. We did whatever we could to keep that relationship going. But I think because I knew early on this was it, that she was the one, that it kind of framed it. It was hard, but I knew there was an end goal, right? We were going to ultimately be in the same place. So it just framed kind of how you see that hard part of it.
Absolutely. So you get through these 2 years, but do you, in between those 2 years, do you know you're coming to Cleveland, or does it just kind of happen?
It just kind of happened, honestly.
Wow. So you were, and I'm sorry for cutting you off, you were willing to go even longer
Yeah, I mean, so eventually we're gonna be together. Like, it wasn't gonna be like there was a timetable on it, but we didn't know when. Like, we didn't know. I was open to being wherever. She was thinking about Chicago. I was thinking about Cleveland. And then this company reached out, and it was a large restaurant group that owned, like, at the time 700, now 2,000 chain restaurants. Wow. They owned like 300 Applebee's, 150 Wendy's, 200 Taco Bells, and they said, hey, like, we love your experience. We want someone who can help invest in these restaurants and help grow and scale these restaurants. Are you interested in, Cleveland? I know you're in Chicago. Like, would you want to be in Cleveland? I said, yeah, like, for sure. Like, sign me up.
That's crazy.
So it just kind of worked out really well. She had interned at the law firm she's working at now and loved it. And she's like, I really like Cleveland. There's so much to do here. People sleep on it, which I think is true. I'm a big fan of Cleveland. Yes. And so she was happy here. I was ready for a new challenge. And yeah, I made that move over.
So, and you said this has kind of been the favorite part of the journey as well.
For sure. Like, people here are super, super, I think, helpful. Like, if you want to do stuff here, people will, like, help you out, right? Yeah. So when she was in law school, now Mayor Bibb was one of her classmates. Wow. I DM'd him on Instagram, like, yo, hey, I'm young black, new to Cleveland. You're young black, seems like you know what's going on here. Like, let's grab a drink. He said, sure, let's get coffee sometime. So I just talked to him. He's like, whatever I can do to help you meet people here, like, let's do that. And so I got to know him. I had a mentor here who I met named Jerry Prim. Shout out to Jerry. Jerry's a good guy. He had this event one Sunday talking about issues that affect the black community. He was like, hey, I would love to get to know you and your wife. Tell me what you want to get involved in, and I'll make sure that we can get you in those right rooms, right? Ooh. And that's rare. Like, to find people who will invest in you like that, like, that's huge. Yeah. So I've loved my time in Cleveland for sure.
So you get here, I believe we lost another light, but you get here in 2017.
Correct.
And in 2017, don't worry about it, because we still look, people, okay? We getting there, but we not all the way there yet. But you know what? It's real, it's honest, and y'all gotta hear this, because this is just one of those conversations that in 20 years, a 20-year-old could get something new. You know what I'm saying?
That's the goal.
All of the lights is great. I love it. We get into something real here. So, in 2017, you get here, and you start working in GPAC.
Correct. Yeah. That's probably like 2018 I started working
2018?
In GPAC. Yeah.
How do you kind of get introduced to it then?
Again, that was also through Jerry.
Wow.
So Jerry was a big
Jerry's
plug.
a big guy.
And so he was like, hey, I know you want to get involved in politics. I know you care about the city. I'm a part of this group. Do you want to hear more about it? No pressure, just get to meet some of the people who are involved with it. And with that group, there's a lot of groups that do political stuff, and a lot of them are great, but a lot of it's kind of like, let's talk about this and do that and put an action plan together. GPAC was very much like, let's move some stuff. Like, let's actually get some stuff done that's tangible. We can put our name on and actually move stuff for the community, right? And so that, like, action orientedness of it was like, okay, I got to be a part of it. And so yeah, joined. Got to work on some campaigns, which is really dope. Got to back some really, really great candidates, and then became vice president initially, and then in 21 was elected president of the group, which I think also, like, again, I'm one of the youngest people in the group.
No, that's the amazing thing. You were 27 at the time,
correct,
right?
Correct.
And you became the president.
Correct.
How did that feel?
It was dope. I mean, it was a great feeling. These people, we had 60, 70, 80-year-old people who
with long money, people
who believed that I could lead this organization. That was a big confidence boost to me.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to bring in a new era of folks who wanted to get involved in politics and show them that there's a way to do that. There's a way to actually make change. And so to have the support from the group, like, everyone was super helpful. They said, whatever we need, you're a leader, like, whatever we can do to help you. And it's been dope. I mean, we're trying to get more young people to want to join, to be a part of it, to be a part of the movement. But it's been really dope to be able to work with so many great people in the organization.
So how can a young, educated, want to get somewhere further in life, get into a GPAC, get into investing, get into a field such as yours?
Yeah, so when I'm around,
where can they find you at?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Newsome5. I'm big there. You can also email me at anewsome@scaleco.com. Feel free to email me as well. I'm happy to connect whoever to both the investing side or the government side. Happy to do either one. There's also people like me out there. So again, if you want to be a part of GPAC or other organizations, go to their website, understand their mission, and then reach out to people you see on the website who are doing the work that you want to do and say, hey, it seems like a really great thing that you're doing. How can I get involved? And if you're willing to do the work, people will make it happen for you.
That is amazing. I'm not gonna keep you too long because I gotta get you back. So I realized I can't go too long because they be like, oh, I got an hour, I'm good. No, you gotta come back. You got one more.
Run it back.
And you gotta run it back some more.
For sure.
But thank you for being here. But before you get out of here, and before we do our last thing, you gotta talk about some numbers because people gonna be like, yeah, but he talk real numbers. I need you to talk some numbers.
Yeah, so we've seen businesses, and this is outside of my firm. I'm just talking about the
back to the business.
industry.
I ain't forget.
Industry in general, talk about. So I've seen people buy businesses for, call it, $2-3 million, sell them for $450 million. We've seen some that are bought for $500,000, go for $50 to $75 million, and that's straight money to their pockets, right? It's money that is pretty unheard of.
From scaling,
yeah. Like you've seen it. I've seen it happen a lot. People taking business growing it 10, 100 times.
What?
And getting pretty paid well to do that. So it's out there. Again, that's not everyone, but if you really kind of hone in and lock in, find the right deal, you can take a business from, $500K, $1 million to $50 million plus.
In 3 years, 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
That is nuts. And you said a website? Hold on, what is a website?
Yes.
You're missing a lot right now. Golly.
Yeah, so bizbuysell.com will have a list of a bunch of different companies you can buy. You can say, give me only the ones in Ohio. There's also one called MicroAcquire, same thing. Those ones, actually a company here called FBA Flip, which is a local guy in Cleveland, started this website to actually buy Amazon-based businesses, the businesses that sell primarily on Amazon. So there's a lot of different websites out there that can help you find what's the right fit for you, because fit's important.
Yes.
You want to find the company that's actually going to work, that you want to be at every day, that you want to help grow and scale. And so people have, again, found those websites, figure out how to improve them and scale them, and getting 7-8-figure checks. So it's possible. And my goal is like more people who look like us should get into that, right? Like
yes.
It's hard sometimes I go in these rooms, 100 people in there, I'm the only one who's black in there, right?
Wow, yeah.
And so my goal is that 10 years from now, that's not the case. Even
right.
5 years from now, that's not the case. So I really want to get more people into this business buying, scaling world.
Well, we're going to DM him. I wish we had a promo code or something, but DM him, get in touch with this knowledge, this information, and understanding that there is real money out here, and it's legal, and it's real, and it's for us. And it's out there, and if you put your structure and your plans together, it can work. Find the niche that you love and go. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, I'm gonna be talking to him. We trying to scale here, so I'm gonna be having conversations. But before we get out of here, it is called Get It Off Your Chest.
Okay.
Basically, the talking to maybe yourself in the past, talking to the young youth that you want to inspire, just some inspirational words for them, for yourself, all of that.
Yeah, no, for sure. So when I was younger, I struggled with like imposter syndrome, thinking that these super talented people out here, I wasn't one of those people. But as I've gotten older, I've found out you really can do it. If you put your mind to it and you want to become an expert in something, you can do it, right? It's not, people may make these things seem complicated, but if you really put the time, you can do it. So if I could go back to my younger self, I'd be like, yo, stop kind of blocking your blessings by being afraid to act. Just believe in yourself. And again, there's a lot of stuff out there you can do to help train yourself, but imposter syndrome is real. But again, it's not that complicated, just you gotta take that first step.
Yeah.
So that's what I tell everybody.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's the King T Network. We out of here. Peace.